welcome to Knock TV, where we interview inspiring entrepreneurs. And this is our new series about tech African business people, where we'll bring you all the variety of tech entrepreneurs that the continent has. With me today is Senam Beheton from Benin, but he's currently in the US, and we are having this conversation by Skype from EtriLabs headquarters in Cotonou. He's the founder and executive director of EtriLabs, which helps developers, social entrepreneurs, NGOs, businesses, and government to create and use innovative technology solutions, and also a co-founder of TEKXL, a combination of incubation, acceleration, and venture investment.
I founded EtriLabs subsequently in 2010 to create a community where people can learn, people can network, and people can use technology for development. And so it was later on in 2014 that TEKXL came about. TEKXL came about after I met Ulrich Susu. And so founding TEKXL was to solve a slightly different problem that EtriLabs wasn't solving well, which is a more structured environment where African startups could be created, be mentored, and find life in a world environment.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how things came about.
Yeah. And what motivated you to start those things? Because you could have stayed there in the US and live your life, but what was the main motivation for you to start those enterprises?
Well, EtriLabs and TEKXL are actually two of many initiatives that I started through my entire adult life in Africa. So even though I left early in my life, I never actually disconnected from Africa or for Benin. I've always been connected. I can cite at least 10 to 15 ventures over the past 20 years. And so the idea is very simple. When I first left, I never felt like I was going not to come back. I went to the US to get educated. And matter of fact, I came to the US in 1990, but my first return was in 1996, where I created a community that was already based on the internet. It was called ADI, African Development Initiative. And so that didn't quite work. And then I went back, and then I came back with other teams and other businesses. Some worked, some didn't work. But having, being, among other things, an economist, I always try to look at development outside of the conventional paradigms. And technology, especially the new technology, provided a new paradigm, a way for people who don't have much, who don't have like a strong infrastructure, to still create things of value for the world. And so that's really the main guiding motivation that led to first creating EtriLabs and then second, creating TEKXL.
Okay, so what are the key challenges or the main challenges that you are facing in those ventures in Africa at the moment?
Well, I'll be honest with you, the challenges are numerous, but my philosophy is when I see challenges, to actually see opportunities, because in the first phase of my life as an entrepreneur in Africa, I was seeing challenges, and because I see challenges, I retreat. Like, I can cite so many opportunities and so many ventures that I was engaged in the early 2000s, and if I had stick with them, I would have been successful. But seeing challenges, I retreated, and some of those things are being successful just done with other people right now. Mm-hmm. So one of the things with being an entrepreneur in Africa is to transform challenges into opportunities. I mean, we all know about challenges, lack of stable power, you have internet issues, you have regulatory issues, and quite frankly, the whole environment is difficult in terms of mentality, especially in Francophone Africa.
Yeah.
But that is, from the entrepreneur point of view, I mean, it's opportunities, and the things that we're doing in Benin with EtriLabs and with TEKXL is understanding what we have. And what we have is, we have youth that is talented. It is, when I say talented, I mean, you've probably met some of the bright people working at TEKXL and at EtriLabs.
Yes, I did.
These people, we did not create these people. These people existed. We just trying to help them fulfill their potential. Mm-hmm. And so it's just an issue of seeing these as opportunities and helping people who have something to offer this as opposed to focus on challenges. So it's not that those challenges do not exist, it's just that our philosophy is to look at things, like, for example, that's one of the reasons why we do not rely on outside help. Yeah. We are pretty much self-sustained. We just want to do what we can do at our scale, and if we do it well, then we can go to a higher scale, and that's the philosophy behind what we do.
I can understand that obviously the main aspect of an entrepreneur is to transform a challenge into an opportunity and solve it. But when you are in face of an environment where nothing seems to move as quickly as you want, people from diaspora thinking, well, if they come, are they going to be able to make that much difference with the environment? How can you solve the challenges on the ground and still, trying to be productive at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, as you just said, you gave a good example. Like, for example, you talk about the Oilab community, and it's really a community that I really admire. I admire Senam Beheton, what he's doing over there with some very young people, this democratic approach to technology. So the challenges are there. Again, sometimes there is absolutely nothing you can do with it. I mean, when I say there is absolutely nothing you can do with it, when you look at the normal channels of transformation, and you have, for example, you have a participatory democracy, you have an environment where, as an individual, as a citizen, you have ways to impact change to your community. Like, you have representatives, you have channels, like in terms of the judiciary or in terms of legal channels. When you were wrong, you can make it right. But we are simply in an environment where, even though we are technically in democracies, we have issues that are not in place yet. We have things that are not in place yet. And so trying to go against and say, okay, well, I want to fix this and I want to fix this right now is actually, you are probably going to waste time and you are not going to achieve things. And so it's more like a gradual approach, okay? So if you, instead of, facing some of these challenges that are entrenched, they have been entrenched for, I would say for centuries, instead of trying to approach them head on, what you do is you chip at them, slowly, and you make changes that are structural, that are going to be probably, that are going to bear fruit in years, not just in days.
Yeah.
And one of the examples that I can give is our WISPA program. Our goal with WISPA is to pretty much obliterate the digital divide between men and women when it comes to startup creation. And we can do it. We have a great plan to do it, right? However, one of the challenges that we have is, for example, parents who simply don't understand, parents who would not give the same opportunity to the girls as to boys. And so when you have some of our candidates drop off, of WISPA simply because they don't have the support at home, or parents saying, no, okay, you just need to stop this because I don't know where it's going, or, we've had parents come to us saying, well, she needs to get married. Like, she just can't do this thing, because even if she has a degree, the first and foremost thing that is important is that she gets married and she has kids. It's, what can you do about that? Like, right away. Just, you can talk to the person, you can try to change their mind, but because they're so culturally programmed, it's very difficult to do something that day. Okay, so what you have to do is hope that by impacting a small number of these women who are predisposed and able to go through WISPA, then maybe they will become role models, and maybe people are going to see their success and then say, well, it's not that bad after all, and I'd rather have my daughter who can provide for me than trying to have my daughter who can provide for me through her husband. So some of the things that we have as challenges, we understand that we can't waste time and stop in front of those challenges. We work on them.
With all these challenges, I was wondering if there are still some opportunities for, I'm based in London. That means for British businesses, for US businesses, and other businesses abroad who are obviously much more mature, to get involved in African tech? Or do you think that there's too much challenges at the moment for them to start even thinking of that?
No, I mean, again, I would say, and I'll say it again, we don't see challenges. And in terms of the products that we have, whether you take Chaperone or Pickies, for example, that's some of our international startups, we have users throughout the world. We have big businesses. I mean, we have Fortune 500 companies interested in Chaperone, for example. You know, I'm not naming any names, but we have multi-billion dollar companies using Chaperone as we speak.
I'm co-founder of Chaperone. Chaperone is an application that helps anybody to create step-by-step guides for websites or web application, and those guides help other people or users of this app or website to better use them and understand how to work on the web and so on. So you don't need to be a developer before using it. So you just have to make few clicks, and then you create your tooltip or guides that help people to use your website or web application.
So if I think one of the challenges, the true challenges that can be solved is investment. You know, like businesses and investors in the UK and in the US and pretty much anywhere can see opportunities in these African startups and invest in them so they can stand to reap some of the benefits when some of the startups make it big. I mean, I said this last year and I still say I will see within the next 5 to 10 years startups, African startups that are going to be unicorns.
Really?
They have valuations up to one.
I mean,
why not? Because look at our market. Okay, we have a market that is just economically predisposed to be consumers.
Yeah.
Okay, we have everything that it takes to have unicorns in Africa, or African tech startups becoming unicorn because of products and startups for products they're offering to the world. Okay, I mean, this is not far-fetched at all. It just, when you understand the structure of startups and startups entrepreneurship, what is most important is connection, investment, and trust. Okay, so if you take Uber, if you take any startups, any unicorns right now, first of all, these valuations are based on a system of mentoring, on a system of network, and a system of investment. Okay, so what we need to do is work towards this combination. So the day the African startups are going to have access to serious investment, good networking, and perfect mentoring, then that's the foundation for pretty good unicorns pretty soon.
And you think that this can happen in the next 5 years?
Actually, I think 5 is too long. I mean,
really?
We think the next 2, and I'm not saying this as, this is what I do.
Yeah.
So I've thought a lot about this. I've looked at the metrics, I've looked at the data, and all it takes is pretty much the 3 things that I mentioned.
Yeah.
We need to have access to network, because if you look at Y Combinator companies, for example, it is not the amount of money that is being invested by Y Combinator that makes a difference. If you're a Y Combinator company, right away you have credibility.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
You have access to people. You have access to press. You have access to networks that are going to give you traction right away.
Yeah.
Okay. And in addition to this traction, in addition to having access to early seed money, then you have mentors who have done this before. So if you look at that and you can solve the issue of mentoring, network, and investment for African startups. I mean, if you look at a market like Nigeria, okay, where they're really ahead in terms of understanding to develop their their domestic market, where the startups have like hundreds of millions of users right away just because of the size of the population of the country. And you look at projects where a user, even if a user spends 10 naira every day through your system, you're a unicorn. I mean, just that in itself makes you a unicorn. Right? If you take you reverse it, and you take an African startup offering product for the world. If you take a project like Chaperone, right? I'm not saying that Chaperone is going to be a unicorn, but Chaperone definitely has the potential of becoming a unicorn simply by the type of industry that is in. If you are targeting, if you have a project that is going to make other businesses more efficient, they're going to buy your product.
Of course,
I mean, this is just simple. And if your project targets, a great number of businesses, whether they're small businesses or Fortune 500 businesses, then you're definitely hitting somewhere. So the challenge for startups like Chaperone would be to be connected at an early stage, like right now, to the type of investments that are going to make them fulfill their potential. And that's some of the things that we're working on.
And there is another aspect that we didn't, of course, talked about, which is digital literacy. Today, in Africa, I don't know how you see the digital literacy, and talent is part of the ecosystem that has succeeded in Silicon Valley. When there is massive abundance of talent, like it has been in India as well, in Africa, when the next heavily talented, I'm not talking about diaspora people, but in Africa itself, when are we going to see these hugely talented human resources created?
Francine, let me tell you one thing. I just want you, just look around you, just look around yourself where you are right now. Okay? And you take a look at any single person sitting around those big desks that we have at TEKXL, right? Those people are as talented and as qualified, as skilled as any developer that you would see anywhere in the world.
Definitely.
And I am not just saying this because I'm the mentor or I'm the CEO of TEKXL. I'm just saying this because it is a fact.
Okay.
We cannot have created the type of services such as Chaperone or Piquis 100% right there in Benin, and that are being used by hundreds and hundreds of people around the world on a daily basis if these were not high quality engineered products. So to answer your question, I would say that I have absolutely no doubt that we already have the talent that are comparable, if not exceed, those of India or to a certain extent in the US, because technology, we're using the same programming languages that they're using. We're creating the same program, actually better programs than some of the programs that are much more valued than some of the things that we have. Now, is it widespread? No. But if you look at the US, you have pretty much the same percentages of highly qualified developers that you have pretty much in Benin or in some African countries. I mean, you don't have highly qualified developers walking the streets in the Silicon Valley. That's why they're highly dependent on foreign and so on and so forth, right? So what you've seen as success in Silicon Valley isn't solely based on the talents in the US. You know, it is based on the fact that up to now, Silicon Valley doesn't have the skill needed to continue on the course that they're on. So, yes, we can work on developing more talent in Africa. Frankly, that's what we are doing at EtriLabs and TEKXL with some of the programs that we have with SPA and some of the trainings that we have for the community. But we have absolutely no complex in terms of the skills based on what we can do.
Okay. In terms of the government support, are you getting any government support or government or digital strategy for Benin at the moment?
We do not get any support from the government of Benin. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Okay? So I personally work with several components of the government. Since 2006, I contributed in creating a strategy for the integration of ICT in education. But to be honest with you, I've heard of some initiatives, but I'm just going to wait till the next elections to see what's going on, and in order to but as of right now, I don't see anything substantial.
Anything substantial. Okay, just to finish, I just want to know, I know pretty much what you're thinking now, but what's your message perhaps for the diaspora, African diaspora, and how they can get involved in getting this tech off the ground in Africa?
Well, first of all, there are two types of diaspora, right? Because I am the diaspora as well. There are two types. There are the people who, from the moment they got here, are thinking about how can I go back, which I'm one of them. And there are people who are just quite comfortable settling in their new home and are not really thinking about going back. And that's also very, very understandable, because the way I see it, people have to make their own choices. Well, that's what is important. So, for those who are interested in Africa, who are interested in maybe going back, contribute, I would say there is never a good time. If you are in London, if you are in Washington, D.C., in Canberra, or in Tokyo, thinking about going back to Africa, you just have to pack up and go, right? Like, there is no right moment to come back. Okay. And if you are successful in London and you have a good plan, you will be successful in Africa. Why? Simply because there are so many things that are ready to be done, so many opportunities And the value added of your experience and of the skills that you have wherever you are going to translate into valuable and productive ventures, businesses, services, and so on and so forth. That is a fact. Now, it's going to be complicated. There are challenges related to entry, related to coming back. I've experienced those challenges. But if you don't stay, you are not going to make it. And I can actually look at data because I love data. If you look at the data of people who came back and who stick around, I would say there is a high percentage of success rather than failure. And if you talk to those people, they will tell you, yeah, it was so difficult when I first came in. People were walking on their head while I was walking on my feet. But finally, I learned how to maybe sometimes walk on my head, and now I'm successful. Right? So that's for the repath. Now, if you are in London and you're not quite ready to pack up and go yet, there are so many other avenues. Okay, how about investing in ventures in Africa? How about mentoring some African startups? How about opening your networks to some of these African startups? So there's so many things that you can do if you're really interested.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much for your time, Senam. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Now, Senam and I will love to hear from you. What was your key takeaway from this conversation? Comment below and subscribe to NOC TV channel, where we'll bring you more inspiring stories of tech entrepreneurs. I will be so grateful if you share this conversation with your friends. And for more information and resources to thrive in the digital economy, visit francinebeleyi.com or follow me on Twitter @Francine Beleyi.